Hi everybody, it's Russ from My Hammers 11. I hope you're safe and well. We're trying something new. Let me know what you think about it in the comments if you think it's any good. We're trying a new way of doing our My Hammers 11 episodes for the time being. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting that bell icon so you're notified of any time we put new content on. We have videos going up daily, but sometimes I'm in a good mood. We might have beaten Chelsea or got a point at Newcastle or something like that, and I'll put 2, maybe 3 times a day. So make sure you hit that bell icon so you don't miss any great interviews. Loads of great guests come up, including today's guest. It's Rob Chapman. Hi, Rob. How are you?
Hi, Ross. I'm good, thank you. How you doing?
Not bad at all. How has lockdown treated you?
Well, my daughter's back in nursery, and football's back. So these are the 2 things which have markedly improved my life over the past couple of weeks. So it's okay. Thanks very much. Yeah, not too bad at all.
No, I know it's funny, isn't it? We've had no sport, no football for so long, and now we've got this sort of plethora of games, and I can't keep up with them, to be honest.
No, there's games on every night, isn't there? So there's a game on right now.
I know,
maybe there is when you're watching this. I mean, as that time of recording, the chances are there's probably a game on while you're watching this as well. Even if it's like Tuesday morning at like 8 a.m., probably a game on.
It's mental. Yeah, it's like 6 o'clock games and stuff like that. I go, is there a match? And it's like, there's been 3 games on. And you're like, how's that happened? But so obviously the time of recording, Watford have beaten Norwich. So not the best result for us, but that's probably, we've done all right, I think, for the teams around us. I think it's only that result and the Brighton result against Arsenal that have really not buggered us up, but have been going against us. And it's nice to pick up some points as well to actually make that count. So hopefully, fingers crossed for Burnley tomorrow as well. That's what we need. Definitely.
Yeah, funny old place to go. We're going there, aren't we? Is that right? I mean, I don't know what's home and away these days. Oh, they're coming to us, are they? Fine. Sorry.
Yeah, London Stadium. I've got to go and get my temperature checked and stuff at London Stadium tomorrow. So it's do you know what? It's actually not too bad. I was thinking before, I was like, oh god, it's going to be really like just a really drawn out process every game. But it's not. It's literally they go, get the gun, beep, and then you fill out the questionnaire, say you haven't got coronavirus, sign it, and then that's it. Simple.
The Guardian Football Weekly podcast had nice things to say about the club setup, which does not happen every day. Broadsheet newspapers saying nice things about us, but they were saying how seamless the process was, and basically we were the safest place in London. But then as soon as you leave the ground, you're essentially surrounded by lots of things that aren't necessarily as compliant as they should be. So.
Well, it's brilliant. We go through this sort of sterile environment, and the car park, the staff car park is now.
Sorry, just pause for the obvious joke about the London Stadium there. Sorry.
Yes. No,
sorry.
Insert joke here. But obviously the car park the staff car park is basically the bit around the ground now where the sort of the stones are. So it's brilliant. I sort of park out right by the stadium, and it's you do all this sort of sterile stuff, and you've got your mask on, and you go out, you turn right basically to go up to Westfield, and you've got that barge east, the bar, and it's full of people all over the bloody place.
Yeah. And that is a pretty tightly contained environment in there as well. So you're not going to do a lot of social distancing in Barge East. So
no, but eventually, I think the London Stadium is actually quite adept, not putting any jokes in, to social distancing. If we go, yeah, exactly. I imagine there'll be some sort of gradual process, a few thousand, and actually it's set up quite nicely to do that. So
there's the old Jasper Carrot joke about Birmingham City, wasn't it? If you remember that one, it was like, I turned to the person next to me and went, over here. So
I remember that as well.
So yeah, it did. Right here in St Andrews, it is a bit like that. So which is around where I live. So. I'm an expat up in the Midlands, so
yeah. So what we try and do, Rob, is with all new people or our guests is find out a bit more about their West Ham fan career, so to speak. Now you've got a very unusual sort of upbringing, so to speak, in terms of being a West Ham fan. I'm sure people who know you know your story, but obviously there'll be a lot of people who don't know your story in terms of why you're a West Ham fan, Rob. So I will leave the floor open to you to explain.
So I guess it's put it this way. There wasn't a lot of choice about which team I was going to support when I was growing up, that's for sure. My sister very briefly mentioned in the 80s that she might want to think about supporting Liverpool, and there was an intervention, and words were said, and it was never spoken of again. So, but yeah, so my I guess I got a family connection to the club, in that my granddad is Eddie Chapman. Sorry, he died in 2002, unfortunately. But he played for the club, signed in 1937. On the back of a 102-goal season the season before at Loxford. So, yeah, the 30s, right? So, and played for them mostly during the World War years. And then in the 50s became club secretary and then chief executive thereafter.
Wow.
So had a 49-year career at West Ham, which not even Mark Noble's been there for 49 years.
Exactly.
So so we sort of grew up around the club, really, and I guess it's because it's obviously I'm a generation where my dad and my uncle had obviously a much closer experience being my granddad's sons, but still from I'd never known a time when football wasn't sort of just the thing that was there, and I think I started going. Well, I phoned my dad actually earlier to sort of find when I said, "Look, I'm doing this thing. What can you tell me?" Because I don't remember. I was very, very small. There's a photograph of me holding the FA Cup in 1980 at the age of nearly 3. I wasn't there at Wembley, I'm assured, but my dad was, obviously, my uncle, obviously, my granddad. But so we think I started going regularly in 82, 83, so at the age of 5. So, but no, different experience. When you go with your family, and it's it's sort of not the family business, but it is the business your family are in. It's it's not the chicken run. So you're getting a very different footballing experience, and so I guess I've really sort of gone through 2 phases of fandom. There's the kind of the thing where it's just the thing that the family does, and it's very nice, and you are you're not even the prawn sandwich brigade. You're there on work essentially, or family work with family, and having the nice sort of director's box experience with a number of good stories. But and then you get to an age probably in your sort of teenage years when you think when the fans are singing "Sack the Board" or something, and you go, "Oh yeah, I want to be in that," except I can't because that's us. So that would be a very bad idea, terrible career move. I got a season ticket probably, when did I get one? Sort of early 20s, I guess, late teens. Well, university. So I went up to Hull and then came back and then started watching, and I've been sort of, on and off season to get older, but now commuting from the Midlands with a 3-year-old. So it's good. So but a weird way to watch football, I guess. It's not a common experience, but it also means you're sort of totally unfazed by it because you're just used to being surrounded by footballers. So it's I think I don't know. I'm very pragmatic football. I'm very pragmatic in most areas of life, but I'm a very pragmatic football fan because when it's very easy when you. It sounds like I'm a total apologist, but when fans get incredibly animated about, the board should have done this and that, it's very easy to list everything that's ever gone wrong in a club. But when you've sort of seen it from the other side, you realise these are people doing their best and they're just doing a job. And especially in an era when there was not really any money in football, it was, my granddad was, a chief executive and lived in a 3-bedroom semi in Ilford, whereas now you'd be on millions of pounds a year, whatever it happens to be. So, but the intensity of fandom hasn't changed. So it was, people are still as passionate about their club now as they were, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. So it's So it was interesting. Met some interesting people and got to see awful lot of football, and which you didn't have to pay for. So can't really complain about that, can you? Really?
No, exactly. And I think you're right. I think that the fandom is probably heightened by the fact that there's money in the game now, isn't it? So you've got the same fandom, the same family values, the same West Ham, community values, but now in an age where no footballer's loyal, really. It's very, very rare. If you get 3 years out of a player, they're a legend now, and
pretty
that
much,
type of thing. It's very much changed, but you still have those deep seated those deep seated sort of era nostalgia views of loyalty and stuff which just aren't there in the game anymore. And just
but that's true. But that's a conversation which has been going on for decades and decades. I remember, literally having this conversation, around the sort of family dinner table when my granddad eventually stepped down. The year after the 85, 86 season. So yeah, he would have stepped down.
Oh, wow.
His testimonial was 87. 9th of August, I think. 87. So he that was his last season. But he'd been saying sort of all through the mid 80s, even through that that glory period of 85, 86, the money's going to ruin the game. And this is way before the Premier League, So it's a conversation that's been had, every year, every decade for a long time, the increasing sort of, influence of money on the game. And I guess if you're very old school, which he was, and I guess we probably are as I am, and a lot of fans are, it's difficult because you look at a club as a community asset. And I think that maybe, I can't speculate because they're not here to sort of talk about it, but there's always going to be this sort of like this kind of clash, it's a juxtaposition, if you like, of thinking about a club as a community asset, which means you've got to preserve it, and at the same time being ambitious to try and maximize its potential, so that you not only keep your fans happy, but you do what you do in any business, which is try and what is the potential of this organization, club, band, whatever it happens to be, to try and maximize its potential. And there's always going to be a clash there because you tip that too far one way and you end up Leeds United or Portsmouth or any of those sorts of companies that live way beyond their means and get it wrong by doing far too much, don't do enough. And sure, you've got a community asset, but you've got a community asset which doesn't really do anything and doesn't really go anywhere, and people get sort of and quiet about it. And I think it's a funny one, isn't it? Because we as football fans, I think we're all instinctively slightly scared of change. We don't adapt very well to change, and yet at the same time we also get bored very easily, and we want things to continually be moving forward. And what's next? Who's the next signing? How are we going to push forward? How we, this is the level we're at. We're happy to get to the next level, all those sorts of things. And those two things often sort of face off against each other, don't they? It's like it's not. I wouldn't want to be a football administrator, put it that way. Because I'd be terrible at it, but even if not, just constantly trying to get that balance of what's too much to do, what's not enough to do, and what keeps people happy. So which fundamentally is winning games, right? So it's you tend to find
totally right.
Okay. Sorry, I just talked at you there.
No, I love it. I love it, man. No, you're totally right. I mean, it's. I mean, as a West Ham fan, Rob, we're not in it for the football.
No,
really, are we? Because
no, of course not.
We've backed the wrong bloody horse if that's the case. But it's as you said, it's that community spirit. But it's that that cup run here, and that sort of getting to those 40 points as quick as possible so people can enjoy the season. I think that's sort of West Ham at the moment. And as you said, I think some people obviously want a billionaire to take us over and spend loads of money, they lose. But then they say, we lose the West Hamness of the club,
absolutely,
the community spirit. And you're totally right, exactly. I mean, that's part of the reason why there's been opposition to the stadium move. Because it's taken the West Ham, but then you needed to do that next step because people wanted to be competing for
it's an impossible job, right? It's an impossible job.
Yeah.
And the trouble is, we all know when it's been done badly. But you don't necessarily notice it when it's being done well. So it's like goalkeepers. You don't notice them as much when they're playing competently, but everyone notices them when they make an absolute howler. So it's and I guess it's the same with administration, isn't it? Really, I mean, I don't know anything about football administration, but just what you see, it's I'm also, I guess, I'm obviously biased because of the upbringing that I had, but I'm just naturally more sympathetic to boards. I think I'll always go, I'm sure they mean well, So no one sets out to do a bad job.
No,
I mean,
no.
Yeah, insert citation may be required. Let's find out what's happened at Wigan. But anyway, as far as I'm aware, nobody intends to do a bad job.
That is mental. The Wigan stuff is mental by all accounts.
Right. I think that's legally okay what I've said there, isn't it? I'm just trying to chuck allegedly there just in case what I've read, rumours that abound. So, but anyway, it's
exactly.
But yes, no, I'm sure everything was completely above board. But it's a weird situation, isn't it? Really? But that's the thing. And you go, let's assume that that's all completely, just an absolute cock up as opposed to anything more sinister than that. But you go there for the grace of God, right? And how many times have we been, quite close to that? We could have gone under a few times. And it's just, and again, that's that. And I personally would rather us be playing, nice, pretty football in the second tier than ever have to go through like what Pompey and Leeds and all that did. I'd rather not either. But I want a club and my club to be able to continue to be able to support them, regardless.
Exactly.
But I tell you what, sorry, mate. I'm waffling again.
Go for it, man.
No, but I say what you said though. But that thing about the identity though is still very, very important, and it is getting harder and harder for clubs to be able to cling on to their identity. Because actually, I'm not anti-stadium move at all. Actually, from a purely pragmatic point of view, I commute in from the Midlands. It's absolutely easy as anything for me to get there, as opposed to Upton Park, which was a bloody nightmare. Lovely place though it was. I can take I've taken my nephew there, and it's perfectly safe. And basically, all the things I like about it are the things that most people don't like about it, which I understand because it feels like a safe place I can take a kid. And I haven't bought popcorn. Promise I haven't bought popcorn. But it's that kind of environment. And it's my dad is in his 70s, and he's got plenty of leg room, and it's easy access to the stairs. And fine. But if I was 21 or whatever it was, and want the proper terrace type experience, different thing, I guess, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, but it's football, isn't it? It's the way football. It's the way football goes. You don't get those tight grounds anymore, and the ones that you do, they're going to be knocked down. Things like Goodison Park and stuff like that. Horrible ground. It was horrible. The way football.
It's rubbish, isn't it? I like it, and also it's rubbish.
That'll be replaced with. I hate it. I hate. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's rubbish. And West Ham was lovely, but it was rubbish, as you said.
Yeah, Wigan. That was one I hated the most, and that is at Modern Stadium.
Wigan, I
hate Wigan.
It's
a modern stadium, but I hate
Filbert Street.
Oh, yeah.
Filbert Street.
Oh, so you really don't like those old school?
It's awful.
You like you don't like the old ones like Main Road and what was one in Coventry that's basically in the middle of a kind of a housing estate, which is I like it because it's Highfield Road. That's right. Yeah, it's proper old school in the middle of the town kind of thing. So I really like those, but I know that they can't survive.
Yeah, so they can't, and I mean, Bramall Lane, in Sheffield. I mean, that's literally in the middle of a town. It's incredible because
there's a recording studio under there. That's where the Arctic Monkeys recorded a lot of their first album in Alan Smythe's studio, which is underneath Bramall Lane. So there you go, pop fact.
There we go.
Hey, Mr. DJ.
There we go. Exactly. It's not just West Ham. It's pop trivia as well in it.
There you go. Really, yeah. My other favourite subject.
Of course, yeah. My friend, my uni friend was a Sheffield Wednesday fan, so he used to go to Sheffield quite a lot, and obviously he hated Sheffield United as much as I did.
Yes.
So it was always good, but it was good. Anyway.
Yeah,
that's all right. Let's talk about your 11.
Okay.
Let's talk about your 11. So I'm looking forward to this. The only rule. I mean, the rules. There's no rules. There's no rules basically. The only thing is you have to be alive to have seen them play.
Okay.
That's literally it. Not necessarily see them play live. I say that because obviously that people who are foreign-based Hammers might not have gone to many games, so it's not fair. It's literally being alive. Obviously, I wasn't alive to see Bobby Moore, so I can't put him in my team. I can put Gary Breen instead.
So like for like, right?
Yin and yang. Like for like substitution. So for you, Rob,
yes.
Who would be between the sticks?
So I have seen. I have seen all these players live. So I will say to you, brilliant. I have 4 words for you. Okay.
Yep.
Not from near Moscow.
Ah, there he is. Closer
to London than Moscow.
Yeah.
As has been, it's not an original observation. Many people have said it before me. I did the maths. 948 miles from Moravia to London, Upton Park specifically, versus 1,081 and a 20-hour, 15-minute drive to Moscow, if you were doing it. Not from near Moscow, but an incredible keeper. So, look, I saw, so I guess if I started going early 80s, but I do remember Phil Parkes. I remember him, met him several times. Lovely man, lovely signature. Smiley faces. As has
Smiley
probably been
face
mentioned
the
before.
pigs,
Exactly. Smiley faces, love Phil Parks. But I guess the sort of era that, I was a sort of, that kind of golden era that you're in, where you remember sort of everything and you're obsessed about sort of football, was probably the Ludo era. And also my mum's family, all on that side, they're all Blackburn Rovers fans. So I have to include Ludek McCloskey for single-handedly winning Blackburn Rovers the championship when I believe there was only one man on the pitch, wasn't there? I think Ludek McCloskey played in all positions, didn't he, and denied Manchester United their victory. I think something like that. I'm sure I've read that somewhere. But anyway, so a definite Ludek McCloskey for me in winning Blackburn the championship, but also giving me many memories of being a wonderful keeper and a really understated sort of bloke as well, wasn't it? Nothing showy, nothing kind of just what you want in a keeper. Probably a bit mad, very steady. Just love Ludo.
Famously, he had his sponsored Skoda as well.
Yes, quite well. He's a loyal Czech. Do you still call Cheshire's people Czechs? I think we do, don't we? So yes. Anyway, so proud patriot. Good for him. Nothing wrong with that. And he's like, Skodas are Czech, aren't they? I've got that right. They are Czech, aren't they? I think. I'm sure someone will correct me if not. So yeah,
they always do.
We'll
Hammers will do.
Yeah,
that'll do.
I think you're fine.
So exactly. It was actually developed.
I don't know who Ken Hammers is, by the way, so I wasn't doing that voice to specifically tell me to get rid of. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he doesn't speak anything like that. I was doing my standard points of view, angry from Tunbridge Wells voice. So
yeah. Right, we'll put Ludo in. Right, let's go. Now, your next player. Rob, you just go with it, and you can talk about it.
Well, let's do it. So I've decided to play wing backs. I did think, and at least one of these players is playing out of position. I did think about doing an out of position 11. Because if there's something that West Ham has specialised in the year, it's recruiting in an imbalanced way. And so we just had to lead to many people, I'm looking at you, Mikel Antonio at right back, playing out of position. But I'm not going to, so I'm just going to go with one player which is defiantly out of position. But I think we can work with it. I like to think of myself as a visionary manager, and I'm sure I can convert them and get the best out of them. So we're going to that minute. So I'm going to play three central defenders at the back, and then I'm going to play wing back. So should we do the three at the back?
Sure.
Fine, straightforward, these ones. Number one, Alvin Martin. Surely no arguments there.
No.
Love watching Alvin Martin. What a great player. Again, steady. And also he seemed really nice. Well, I don't know he seemed really nice. I've met him. He's very nice. So, and I do like a nice footballer. The ones that sort of, blank you and aren't as polite or friendly, I naturally take against slightly. But he was both a lovely human being and also a very, very fine defender. And also, there are not very many people that have played for West Ham in that era that were also getting a lot of international caps. 17 international caps.
Exactly.
Would have played in the World Cup in '82 had he been fit. Did play against Paraguay in '86, and had he been, he was dropped against Argentina. And I think that was the only reason we lost, wasn't it? I think obviously
so.
Alvin Martin would naturally have been able to defend that mazy run from Diego Maradona. I'm sure that's all it was. It was all it was. So basically, West Ham would have been able to win 2 World Cups were it not for Bobby Robson dropping Alvin Martin. I'm sure that stands up to scrutiny, and you can't prove it otherwise.
Sure.
So
yeah, definitely.
So we'll go Alvin Martin, also a good ball playing defender as well. I think he's underrated as a ball player. So I think people think of sort of 80s central defenders as sort of cloggers, and he wasn't a clogger remotely. So more traditional kind of. So shall I go on to the next one, or?
Go
sure. Sorry,
you carry on.
Sorry, yes, yeah. So I will go my other centre. Sorry, my second of 3. I don't know if this is a controversial choice or not. A really good player, was only with us for 18 months, but I'm going to go Slaven Bilic. Yeah. Proper defender, just a really, really solid centre back. I think we signed him for, I'm going to say 1.3 million. About that?
Something like that. Yeah, something like that.
I know we sold him for 4.5 million to Everton 18 months later. And, you don't have to be a betting man to know that getting 3.5 times your money on a player in 18 months probably indicates you've got quite a good player there by that standard. Yeah. So yeah, I like, and also I think he's slightly unfairly maligned for, players get sort of good press or bad press based on, how they leave, the way they leave. I think, you've probably got that sort of cusp of sort of the old school era and then the kind of modern era. But certainly by modern era standards, there was nothing wrong with the way he lived. Got a load of money. We got a load of money for him. Yeah. He insisted on playing out the rest of the season, gave it his all. Performance never dropped. Can't really argue with that, I think. So, and also, when I looked up his stats, I always remember him thinking he was very good at scoring from corners. And I think he actually only scored 2 goals, but I just must remember both of them. So, because I always have it in my head, he was very effective scoring goals from corners. So, but maybe not as effective as I remember him. But maybe in our team we could coach a few more goals out of him. So maybe not now. Yeah. He's in his 50s, but still. So, but yeah, so that would be my second of 3. And my third, probably not a surprising choice here, but I said Alvin Martin is a good ball playing sort of centre half, which I think he really is. But to me, to use this cliche, the Rolls Royce of ball playing central defenders, almost certainly ahead of me would be Rio Ferdinand by some distance. So given that how quickly the name changed below there, you were definitely ahead of me. So just like he was. If Fred Astaire played in central defence, it would be Rio Ferdinand. He didn't run; he sort of glided. And normally, you might say that about some kind of silky sort of, central midfield or attack or whatever it was. You very rarely see people playing in central defences that you would describe as gliding across the pitch. No, but that was how I remember him. And I think, especially if you're playing 3 at the back, I've thought about this. If you're playing 3 at the back, you want that ball carrier to come out from that kind of sort of central role to sort of bring the ball out. Others two can close in behind. I think Rio will be your man because it can link that play from sort of defensive midfield to the back, and also gets me out of having to play a defensive midfielder, which I haven't selected. So I would definitely go Rio. Yeah, surely not controversial so far. So
no, it's a good shout. Good shout. And I agree with all of them. Yeah, but as you said, there's a nice contrast. I don't really look at it as part of a balanced side. I think you've got probably the 3 of the best centre backs.
You're perfect for a West Ham manager. So.
Exactly. Formation? What formation?
Just put them all in. Be fine.
Just play Haller with 2 people. That's what it's so simple. Anyway, that's just like Tourette's with me at the moment. Yes. Right, let's go for you. Go for your wing backs then, Rob.
Okay, right. So hopefully I've got everyone on side now, so I can now annoy people. Because at right back, and people will notice. By right wing back, people are going to notice at least 2 things wrong with this, and I'm only going to say 2 names. Alan Devonshire. What? You can't play Alan Devonshire as a wing back? People might say, and they may well be right. For a start, he played on the left mostly. But here's my defence: the way that current football is, because we're assuming, right, for the sake of argument, that this team is going to play, the versions of them from their prime are going to be playing, in today's game. And the role of kind of, people just don't really play with traditional wingers anymore, do they? If you've got people that have got classic old school wing skills, they play them in wing back or even in a 4-4-2, bombing on and overtaking sort of the person in the wide midfield. And again, when did I guess probably he left about 1990, but sort of late 80s, isn't he? He was sort of fading out by then. So I only sort of saw him sort of the latter sort of years of his career with us. But even then, I remember him, being extremely hard worker. He was his work rate was pretty impressive, I think, as someone playing on the wing. He could cut inside, he could switch over. He mostly on the left, but he'd switch over to the right, left. So I think I've just got a hunch, could Alan Devonshire do a job for you at wing back? I think he could. Not now, he's 64. But I think, in his prime, he hasn't been the kindest to me that way. But, in his prime, could Alan Devonshire do a job for you in the current game as wing back? I'm saying yes, he could.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. No, I think it's
And I
great.
think if I stab my finger like that down, it will make the point more vociferously, and people are less inclined to argue. Yeah, because that's definitely how football fans
Exactly.
work.
I am now putting my finger down.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you'll find the matter is closed. You're moving on. Sorry. Yes. Sorry. How are you? Are you limited for time? Sorry. When does the tape run out? So.
Exactly. Have we got a tape there? We're okay. Yeah, we're okay.
Hamster, keep running.
Exactly.
So less controversially, if you're playing wing backs, there's only one person you can obviously play at left wing back. It's Julian Dix. Case dismissed. I looked at his goal scoring record. It's obscene. I mean, he scores he's scoring 1 in 3 games. Every 3 games. Legitimately, that puts him probably in our 10% of strikers we've ever had score 1 in 3. That's. I know he took penalties and stuff, but come on,
still
someone from left back who's scoring 1 in 3.
Exactly, he scored loads of corners. Coming like as you said about Slaven Village, but going back watching obviously the Robert Banks, obviously putting all the videos.
Oh God, love him.
And he gets loads of corners, and it's surprising. I never thought of him as a prolific header of the ball in corners.
No,
he does.
You don't think of it
quite a lot.
God, you wouldn't fancy the ball's chances, would you? Really? So. It was like that. Don't used to say something like, when he's taking a penalty, if you're the goalkeeper, you're better off just ushering it in, really, aren't you?
Yeah.
You could do yourself a serious damage trying to get in the way of that. So it's, interesting character, Julian Dix, but what a player! I mean, what a player! Again, not a controversial pick. I appreciate. So shall I move up the field?
Go for it.
Okay, so carry on. Talking about imbalance. Some might say my central midfield is a little imbalanced, but again, I reckon if I stab my finger enough, I can make a point vociferously, and therefore people won't argue with it. I'm sure that'll be fine. So I'm going to go firstly with Liam Brady. So I guess I wanted a player that, and I guess there might be a few examples of this. When you think of West Ham players, you often think of 2 different types of people. You think of the people that have come up through our kind of youth ranks, and this incredible academy that we've created of people that sort of come right the way through the ranks. And then you think of people who come to us when they're past their best and have played for bigger clubs. And mostly it doesn't work, but sometimes it does. And it really did, I think, with Liam Brady. You think of the clubs he's played for and the level he played for, and you think the only way we would be getting Liam Brady is if he is completely shot. And he wasn't. He was great. He was fantastic. And I just remember watching again, because it's that era that I sort of most fondly remember from going every game. And the ball was like a piece of elastic attached to his boot. I can't ever remember him losing the ball. And he actually, I think he's obviously an attacking player, but he could play quite deep as well. So, he dropped deep. He almost played like a kind of, almost like a Scott Parker kind of role. He could beat a man, so he'd take on and beat a lot of men and then go back and beat them again. But he could also sort of, pick up the ball quite deep, turn, keep it, go past someone, then lay it off to someone else. Yeah. So incredibly versatile player. And also he's Irish, so that will please my in-laws no end. So if I can have an Irish player in there, then I will be ingratiating myself to the in-laws. So so I love watching him. And I don't think he's spoken about enough in sort of West Ham circles as what a great player he was for us. So
no.
Do you get him picked much on your show?
Not that many. He says when he opens up his his spreadsheet.
No, I should have warned you. There was a stats question coming. So
no, Liam Brady. This will be the 5th time.
Fifth time. Okay.
5th time. So
fair enough.
Almost at 100.
Not...
So
Oh, okay. Like 5%. 5%. Yeah. No, fair enough. But anyway, so I loved him. Okay, so if he's the 5%, I'm now going to represent the 95% in picking Trevor Brooking. Now, it's you could say, can Brooking and Liam Brady play in the same team? To which the answer is, it's my team, it's my rules. Yes, they can. So, but I sort of figured that on the basis that if you've got Brady sort of playing slightly deeper as someone that can sort of take the ball past him, he's never going to lose the ball, beat a man or lay the ball off. You've then got the sublime vision of Trevor Brooking. And I think I only got a year of him. So I think he left in 84, did he? So
something like that, yeah.
So I only saw, and I was very, very young. I did play with him in my granddad's testimonial when I was the mascot. I think that counts. That counts as a full cap, doesn't it? So anyway, but sure.
You're like best mates now, so it's
almost certainly. Wow. Yes, God, even then I remember his vision. Just
really
tremendous player. I mean, could just pick a pass, but also beat a man as well. And again, he's one of those gliders, right? Not the not blessed with absolute natural, burner's pace, but it doesn't matter if you're that good at keeping the ball and going past people and can just glide with that level of skill, then you don't really need that much pace. Right. So I love watching Booking in the 1 year that I saw him and was very young. But let's just say I imagine that I remember that absolutely perfectly, even though I was about 6 or whatever it was. I definitely saw him, exactly. Yeah, I was there, right? You can't get me on a technicality. So tick, exactly. So I'm going to come back. So I've got a third place in midfield, but I think it's my most controversial pick. So I'm going to, if you said I can do this nearly all night, I'm going to go up front and then I'm going to go back to my missing midfield role.
Yep, no worries.
So let's stick with the safe options, shall we? Everyone's favourite lunatic, Paolo Di Canio. It must be 95% of teams. Does anyone not pick Paolo Di Canio?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he, again, let's get the spreadsheet. I should really have 2 screens for this. It'd be a lot easier. Di Canio. His name is Paolo Di Canio. Only 55%. Yes. Because it's a generational thing, isn't it?
I think
people, the more experienced fans would not necessarily put him in. Maybe even the less experienced, the younger fans. Di Canio was in that a certain era, wasn't he? And I mean, some people didn't like him just because. Some people. But he's Paolo Di Canio, isn't he? What can you say about him?
I mean, look. It's not for me to sort of argue with other fans, but what I would say, those 45%. Are absolutely entitled to their opinion. They're wrong opinion, because he's very clearly one of the best players that's ever played for West Ham. He just is. In fact, actually, bringing my granddad again, so I'm not doing that to make a point. But I remember him saying that he said that Di Canio is the best technical player he's ever seen at West Ham. And, he'd have, been there from, the 30s. And so seeing, Bob Moore, he wasn't a sentimentalist at all, but he said, look, that guy is the best player technically the best player I have ever seen play for West Ham. So, and just every game he'd do something mental that you go, I can't even imagine that, let alone know how you did it. But it was just a stunt. There's a free kick, I think it was in Watford. There's a free kick, and I still haven't quite worked out how he does it, because he shapes to hit it one way, and it sort of goes near post, but also sort of round the wall, whilst the keeper dives far post. So as you say, we're not there for the football, but when we are there for the football, we want the football to be joyous. Yeah. And Paolo Di Canio brought joyous mania that. And you always had. There was never a game you were out of as long as he was on the pitch, because that word mercurial is used by football fans all the time. The mercurial talent, but essentially that means someone can conjure something out of nothing should they be so inclined. And as long as you've got one of those people, then you're never fully out of the game.
Oh, totally.
But
didn't
work every time.
Yeah. No, exactly. But I mean, it was part of that crazy era. That Redknapp era, which is absolutely crazy in terms of, it's him, and he had obviously the guys coming from the academy. You'd have, it was like a soap opera. You'd have, like eventually Marco Boogers and Paolo, all these. It was just a crazy time, that Harry era. Yeah. But what Paolo used to do, he used to do that little thing where he did a fake back heel, and it used to always stump everyone. And it was it was literally go, I'm gonna do a back heel, honest, like slow motion, and everyone fell for it. And it was brilliant.
But it's the thing, it's like you could sorry mate.
They used to do that chop as well. He used to go like one way and chop, and again everyone knew it was coming, but he just did it.
Knowing it's coming and being able to do anything about it, like that Yarmolenko's going to cut inside and put it on his left and try and curl it into the corner. You know he's going to do that, but exactly. But doing anything about it, it's like the Iron Robin thing, isn't it? Everyone knows what Iron Robin's going to do when he tries to get there. Stopping it is another matter entirely. Just because you know it's coming doesn't mean you can do anything about it. You know that David Blaine is going to try and get you with some kind of mind trick or whatever it is, or Darren Brown's going to try and get you. Being able to stop him doing it is another matter entirely. I know it's a cliche to say it's got to be, but it obviously has to be Paolo Di Canio. He's got to play. So and you just have to take the baggage with it. But okay. And I was there for that goal. So there we go.
Yeah, no, it's a funny stories about that goal when he comes up in conversation, everyone talks about that goal, and that's what I necessarily. Obviously, everyone's seen the goal, but it's the stories around the goal. So I interviewed Ian Dale, and he was stuck in the Blackwall Tunnel. And Benji Lanyardo, his dad, had his back to the game when it happened, and it's these things. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it.
Sounds like it. Actually, one of my favourite games of all time is the 4-0 snow victory against Man United in the League Cup quarter-final that time. And Phil Whelans and Jim Grant, I don't know if you've had them on the show before. But they were stuck. Well, I can't remember, one of them was stuck at home and one of them was stuck in a snowstorm in a tunnel, whatever it is, and just missed the whole thing. It's like one of my favourite games, but you say there for the grace of God, right? So it's but anyway, yeah. So
there was a period, wasn't there? There was a period where we had like really random freak weather at West Ham.
Yes.
I remember there was once where it was obviously we had it was a Crystal Palace game where the lights went out. This was sort of the early 2000s, and then we had, I think, a couple of weeks afterwards, the Newcastle game when the players were warming up, there was like a typhoon in the middle of the pitch. So it was like torrential downpour, and they had to cancel. And it was really weird. And then you had that West Ham game, as it was the Man United game, and when it was snowy and
lots of snow. The coldest I think I've ever. I've been in Canada when it's been minus 30 degrees, and the coldest still I've ever felt was a Birmingham City home game. So West Ham v Birmingham. I think we won 2-0. Diamanti scored, I think, and I just. It was joyous, but I just couldn't get past the fact that I'm not sure I'm going to make it to the other side. I think I'm going to be chiseled out of ice somewhere in the West Stand. It was so cold. But football stadiums though, they get that. They're like that, aren't they? Really? So
they do. I mean, obviously at the London Stadium, I see. I'm up in the gods in the white box at the top, and God, it's windy and freezing. Even windy at the moment. There's a gale seems every 5 minutes, but it's so windy up there and so cold. And it's all metal, and it's all like metal, and it's just
You can't be complaining about the weather in a football stadium in July, though, mate, can you really?
No, you can't. I'm thinking when it comes to January again and everything's back to normal and I'm sat there freezing my bum off because there's a massive hole in the floor. It's how the other half live, Rob. It really is.
I know, right? Well, I can't talk about that, mate. So I spent most of my early years watching West Ham in the director's box, having a very nice lunch, I can tell you. There's some football. So I was convinced actually some people only used to go just for the lunch. I'm not going to name names. I'm just going to say there were some people who would leave about 10 minutes into the second half, but definitely didn't miss a bit of their lunch. That's for sure. So
exactly. Good.
So
they went.
Other one up front. Maybe get slightly more controversial, and I think my final pick is quite controversial. But so my other partner for Paolo, and again, I thought about the shape of this team and what are we missing? And we're missing raw pace and classic finishing. And so when you think of a classic finisher, you think of someone like Tony Cottee, for example. I'm going to need a minute. So, sure. I mean, look, that header. Does it matter which goal it's in? I mean, the point is, it's a great finish, right? So, Poor old Ian Dowie. He's really nice. I really liked Ian Dowie. So he
loved him. He
was a grafter.
He was a trier,
Exactly,
God
right?
loves a trier.
Exactly.
He knew he wasn't going to get that ball in the corner, but God forbid he wasn't going to stop running after it. And
exactly, right?
The goalkeeper's actually taken a goal kick since he's finished running it, but it doesn't matter. He's tried.
Once he's up to steam, you can't stop him when he's at speed. It's like a locomotive, and just as heavy. So I'm going to go for not Tony Cottee. I'm going to go for Craig Bellamy. So I know, right?
First time. I think I'm just checking. I think it's the first time.
Just thinking about it, this is going to be controversial, and I'm sorry, Mr. Cottee, another wonderful human being, if I say this, but I just think Bellamy is a more complete footballer. That natural pace. Yeah. I know, right? I told you it was going to get more controversial. We didn't see the best of him. No. He wasn't there very long. But that partnership he was developing with Dean Ashton. I mean, some of the best football I've ever seen us play was those two playing together. I don't actually know how many times they played together. I mean, Bellamy, I think, only played like 20-something times for us. So we really didn't see the best of him at all. But, again, another one of those players didn't want to go, got sold to Man City for an obscene amount of money. And the reason why he got bought by Man City for an obscene amount of money is because he was really, really good. And in that kind of team, I'm just thinking, you want someone. We're not short of playmakers, right? We've got Brooking, we've got Brady, we've got Di Canio, we've got Devonshire and Dix coming in from each wing. Do we need another sort of classic sort of playmaking sort of number 10 style centre forward, or do you want someone absolutely lightning quick who can burn you for pace on the counter attack should you need it, and has got an absolute dead eye finish for goal? So that was why I went for Craig Bellamy. Our first choice. I can't believe I'm the first one to have picked him. Anyway,
I'm pretty sure. Again, the old spreadsheet is up. And yes, he is the first time he's been picked up.
Well,
People
there you go.
About him in dispatches,
take that.
but not given the journeys. And
just think from the modern game, right? Sorry, mate, carry on.
And you're totally right. And you better say, obviously him and Ashton, they were bought as the part. That was. It could have been.
I know, right? I
know. Cottee McAvinny, it really was.
I know, and it really was. And that's exactly the kind of roles that they played. And that's why I'm thinking, if you're going to play someone up with Di Canio, I mean, you always got the feeling that Di Canio felt that any other centre forward was a bit of an inconvenience. So, but if you're going to have someone, you want someone completely different who's going to play a very different type of game. Which brings me to my final choice. I'm going to go back into midfield. And if I lost you with Craig Bellamy, I've got a funny feeling I'm going to lose the rest of your viewers on this one. I am going to go, and hear me out, for Kevin Nolan. Now, I'm going to explain my reasoning. We have 10 incredibly good footballers. Whatever you think about those 10 people I have just mentioned, they are technically superb footballers. I am not suggesting that Kevin Nolan is anywhere near as good technically as those footballers, but I'm bringing in Kevin Nolan for two reasons. Number one, if you've got the opposition worried about what the hell's Brooking going to do, what's Brady going to do, what's Devonshire going to do, what Dix is going to do, the absolute one person they will not be worrying or thinking about is Kevin Nolan. And you know what Kevin Nolan likes? It's turning up at the back post when nobody's noticing him and getting 15 goals a season.
That's a bloody good idea.
And so someone to clear up the scraps is absolutely what he was perfect at. Ghosting in without anybody picking him up, and anyone. And you were saying, like we were saying earlier, about knowing what someone's going to do versus being able to stop it are two totally different things. Everyone knows that Kevin Nolan arrives deep from midfield at the very last minute, times his run perfectly, and gets 10 to 15 goals a season, and has been doing that since the dawn of time. Everyone knows it. No one seems to be able to stop it happening.
Exactly. And then also having Christmas off because he gets.
Yeah, well, I've got a very good bench that I can bring on. So if necessary, I don't think of the skills we miss. But the other reason I wanted to bring him on is so I'm a massive cricket fan, and my all-time favourite cricketer is Mike Brearley. Now, Mike Brearley is not a very good cricketer. Sorry, Mike. He's not technically brilliant, but his ability to get the best out of very, very talented players on the pitch was absolutely sublime. And when people talk about sort of Botham's ashes in '81 and the bowling spell he got out of Bob Willis and all those sorts of things, most of that is down to how Mike Brearley was able to manage and motivate his team on the pitch. And I just think if you have got Paolo Di Canio, you've got Julian Dix, you've got Slaven Bilic, you've got a lot of very, very big characters. To me, the person who can, very much like Mike Brearley, sort of, essentially wander onto the field with an absolute air of supreme confidence that they are the alpha. And Kevin Nolan is not the alpha male, is not the alpha male in any room he's in. He's obviously the person who is just naturally going to assume a position of authority and control, and no one's going to argue with him. And the idea of Di Canio and Dix and all those sorts of people, I think you need someone in that team just to basically be the boss and keep everyone in line. So that is why I pick Kevin Nolan.
Yeah, and obviously he's doing a great job at the moment.
Absolutely,
he's absolutely inspired selection by Moyes.
We're good at corners now, Russ. We're good at corners. We haven't been good at corners for years.
But what I know is where the bloody hell did I never knew about Bowen's corners. It wasn't on his crib sheet. You know what I mean? And the last 3 games, he's been whipping them in like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, but it's also, have you seen the move? Sorry, getting very have you seen the movement in the box during our and you've seen like where Souček is. You've seen like the players of where Antonio is and Ogbonna, and they're basically being an absolute nuisance. And Kevin Nolan was the absolute master of being a complete nuisance at corners. And you can see how they're set up now to be really, really annoying to the keepers and the defenders. And you just go, it's Kev, that is. I know, you can just tell where it's come from. He's going to go, right, what you need to do, you need to stand right in front of the keeper and be really, really annoying. Maybe tread on his toes. Maybe give him a little tickle in the ribs as you go past. Just make an absolute nuisance of yourself. And lo and behold, all of a sudden we're good at corners again. And God, that was one of the things, like, I know a lot of people enjoyed it. I never really enjoyed the football played by Pellegrini's teams. And pretty passing, lots of possession, all those sorts of things. But actually, I personally don't get that much out of that kind of football, of lots of sort of sideways, sort of pretty movement. I like something a bit dynamic. And sometimes, footballers who, can be a bit of a dick. Sometimes they're good fun to watch. And Kevin Nolan was the master of that, just being really, really annoying. And every opposition player hated him. Every opposition fan hated him. And those are exactly the kind of players you want to have on your side.
Yeah. He's a bastard, but he's our bastard.
Exactly, right? Yeah, exactly. So and lovely hair as well. Yeah. Nice 1940s haircuts. Classic. There are players that, again, I think if someone else says this, maybe Phil may have said this before, but I think observed the way that he walked onto the pitch with the ball under his arm. Now, I don't know whether that actually ever happened, but I have a vision of someone like Kevin Nolan walking onto the pitch with a ball under his arm like a 1940s player with his lovely immaculate hair. So, and I think, again, there's just a natural authority of people like that, and you don't, even Paolo Di Canio wouldn't argue with Kevin Nolan. I would.
No. Exactly.
Well, maybe
that has finished the team nicely, Rob. Rob, it's been absolutely brilliant.
Pleasure, mate. Pleasure.
Really, really enjoyed chatting.
No worries.
It's been really good. I really appreciate all the thought. There's been a lot of thought, a lot of late night. I can imagine a bit like
No, I'm just really good at bluffing it. So.
Oh, just completely buffing it. I just got all this. But I can imagine, it's like really sort of agonising about who to put in what position. It's been great. It's been really fun, and people enjoy that. Because I could, because it's and every 11 is individual, and it's nice to get a few new names on there, like Bellamy and Nolan. I think we've got about 160 names so far.
Wow,
of players. So it's
really not going to get them all in the first team squad. There's going to be some unhappy people in that squad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
just get a wage bill.
And oh God. Could you imagine?
Even at 4 and 6.
Yeah, 4, 2 and 8.
But more still being paid what he was paid in the 1960s versus sort of like what modern day players are. You're just going to get unrest in the dressing room. That's all I'm going to say. So
there'll be dissension.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. and obviously everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy a new format as well. Let me know what you think. If not, we'll go back to it if no one likes it, but doesn't matter. And until next time, from me and Rob, take care, everybody. We'll see you all again very, very soon. See you later, everyone. Bye-bye.
No worries.